Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in this week. This is my legislative update for the week of March 11th through 15th. I thought what I'd like to do this week is highlight some of the bills coming up in the House and also highlight a few of the hearings coming up in the Senate and the House as well, and leave you with a couple of tools that you can use to find more information and detail on the legislation. The House is going to vote on 11 bills and 3 resolutions this week. Only one of those pieces of legislation are scheduled for a recorded vote, and that's House Continuing Resolution 24. That resolution is intended to express the sense of Congress that the Mueller report, when it finally comes out, should be made available to the public and to Congress. The other pieces of legislation are all likely to pass by voice vote, and I'd like to highlight a couple of those. H.R. 1122 is entitled the Housing Choice Voucher Mobility Demonstration Act of 2019, and I'd like to just read its description. I think it's an important piece of legislation and, again, likely to pass on a bipartisan voice vote. The bill authorizes the Department of Housing and Urban Development to implement a mobility demonstration program to enable public housing agencies to administer housing choice rental assistance vouchers in a manner designated to encourage low-income families receiving such assistance to move to lower poverty areas and expand access to opportunity areas. HUD shall require public housing agencies applying to participate in the program to submit a specified regional housing mobility plan. I think it's an important piece of legislation for housing assistance. There'll be a few government operations bills this week. And there's also one other resolution, House Resolution 206, having to do with financial transparency. A number of items within that bill are intended to highlight what's going on with money laundering and other financial crimes and how they are a threat to national security, and beginning a discussion of trying to close some of the loopholes in the financial services arena that allow financial transactions to be hidden by people who intend to do us harm. Again, another piece of legislation, important legislation that I think will pass by a voice vote this week. The full schedule and the links to all of the bills coming up for vote this week, the easiest way to find those is go to majorityleader.gov. Majority Leader Hoyer has a website that will give you all sorts of information on legislation and a link to this week's bills. There are over 89 hearings this week in both the Senate and the House, and I thought I'd highlight just a couple of those, and then I'll give you a link where you can go to find the full schedule on all of those hearings. So a lot of work in many, many different areas. The House Budget Committee has a hearing 10 o'clock on Tuesday, and they're going to start to look at the President's 2020 budget. If you might have seen within the last couple of days the news that the debt has ballooned over $2 trillion since this administration took over in 2017. And both the debt and the deficit are rising significantly. And so the House and the Senate, but the House Budget Committees on 10 o'clock on Tuesday will begin to look at that budget request. One other hearing that I found interesting in the Senate, the Small Business Committee at 2:30 on Wednesday. We'll be looking at cybercrime threats to small business. And a lot of work is going to be done in that arena, and one of the hearings that will help set legislation for small business. If you want to find the full committee schedule, you can go to congress.gov/committee/schedule/weekly/2019/03/11. Or you can go to congress.gov, and right in the middle of the page, you'll find a link to the committee schedules. Again, 89 hearings, and so there's a lot going on, and I would encourage you to do that. If you get a chance to contact your member of Congress this week and support House Continuing Resolution 24 and making the Mueller report public, I think that would be something that I'm going to do for sure. Next week, the following week will be a district work week, and Congress won't be in session. So next Sunday, I'll bring you a summary of the new laws signed in February and some more tools that I use to research the legislation. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.